Yo, what's going on, ladies and gents? My name is Arbuckle. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to share with you guys what I personally believe is the most underrated strategy in Fortnite Battle Royale. One that is a clear long-time favorite of mine, has worked wonders, has gotten my friends and I tons and tons of wins. As a matter of fact, it was the first Fortnite video that I ever posted, I believe, or the second video I ever posted, the best strategy video that ended up getting over 500,000 views that I think I posted last September, and it was absolutely phenomenal, dude. This strategy is so crazy good, and what I like about it is that you pretty much guarantee yourself to make it deep into the game without running into a ridiculous amount of people and running into that opportunity to get pinched, because it is on the side of the map. So it works really well. It's a lot of fun, very easy to do, and works well whether you're playing solo or with an entire team. So the spot that you're going to want to drop off at is in the top right corner of the map around Wailing Woods. You guys will see that there is a building or a house, a wooden structured house behind the Wailing Woods, and this really hasn't changed. I believe this house has been pretty much exactly the same for the entire time the game has been out. They haven't done a lot back there. The closest that they've really changed was where Risky Reels is, and that's really the only major change that they've had back there. Everything has been pretty much the exact same. But basically what you want to do, if you're playing solo, you kind of want to have an eye out for where enemies are going to land. Now that Risky Reels is back there, that has become a fairly popular place, and you're generally going to run into a few players that go there, whether you're playing solo. If you're playing squads, you might run into a team that goes there. But the good news is that's not the original drop-off spot for this strategy. The original drop-off spot is at that back house. I like to call it Count Olaf's house just because it's very creepy. It's just this really tall, lanky building that looks like it's been run down and isn't out in the middle of the nowhere looking over the ocean. So I always called it Count Olaf's house, but it's that wooden house that's behind Wailing Woods out in the middle of nowhere. That's the original drop-off spot. When I do this strategy, I tend to play with a squad. I don't generally do this strategy by myself, but when I'm playing with squads, I go here all the time with a bunch of my buddies. We are obsessed with this place, and what we do is we kind of spread out. We'll put like 1 or 2 people at that Count Olaf house, and then if you guys will look, you got the ice cream truck that's up on the hill, and then you've got the 2 farmhouses that are in between Count Olaf's house and Risky Reels that I love to drop off at. So if we're playing squads, generally I'll go to the 2 farmhouses. I'll have a buddy or 2 go to Count Olaf's house. Someone will land at the barn in the back or at the end of Wailing, depending on where we see other people go. But this back portion of the map is a phenomenal spot to go and works really, really well. There's a lot of small places that you can hit. Generally, what you want to do is, if no one lands back there, you want to make sure that you knock out Count Olaf's house. There's generally 2 or 3 chests with a bunch of floor loot laying around. There's plenty of stuff in there for an entire team if your whole team ends up going there. But Count Olaf's house for sure, and then you want to work your way up to the ice cream truck that's on the hill in between the 2 farmhouses and the wooden house in the back. There's generally 2 chests up there. A lot of the times there's just 1. But most of the time when I've been playing recently, I don't know if they've changed it, but there's been 2 a lot. But there's almost always going to be 1 at the ice cream truck, whether it be on the back end on the ground or on top of it. But you can have someone land there. A lot of times I like to go there. Then you have the 2 farmhouses that always have a chest in each one of them. There's always stuff going on there, lots of floor loot. There's a basement in one of the houses, enough for multiple players. And then there's a back barn. You guys will see it if you're running away from Count Olaf's house, that there is that back barn on the very edge of the map. You want to be careful. You want to pay attention to where the circle is, because when you're looting this area, it is widespread. There's a lot of running that has to be done to get to all these areas. And the circle can be far away. I want to say most of the time you're not going to be in the circle because you are on the edge of the map. And a lot of times you'll end up having a crappy situation where you have to run really far and won't have a lot of time to loot. The good news is, however, is that now that rifts have been incorporated into the game, there are rifts that are back in that corner that are generally on the side of the hill, and that'll allow you to get to the circle no matter where it's at. So it gives you a lot of extra time to kind of just take your time and look for stuff and explore around the area. But once you hit those 2 farmhouses and the Count Olaf house, and then the back barn, there's also another small shed that's east of the 2 farmhouses. If you're facing Risky Reels from the farmhouses and you go to the right east, you'll see that there's a little shed, and a lot of times there's a chest up on top of that shed. as well as floor loot on the bottom floor. So you'll have that little area, and then you can move into risky. Now what's nice is if no one landed at risky, you're going to be set because that place is loaded with loot from what you already have, and then you go in there, you're going to be good for the game. However, if someone did already land there, there's a good chance that by the time you're done cleaning up the back of Count Olaf's house and the 2 farmhouses, they're either going to be gone or they're going to be weak or missing players, because a lot of times there's a couple teams that might land there and get in gunfights, and by the time you get all your stuff and get over there, there's only one team left, and they might be down a few players, making it easy to clean up and finish off whatever loot's there. But if they're gone, one thing I like to do that I notice a lot of people don't do because they're not really familiar with that side of the map, if you stick to the east side and you hug the edge of the map, you don't run into risky, you don't risk going in there and dying. There's a farmhouse as well as a small barn that you'll be able to loot that most people don't ever go to. And then if you continue to go straight, if you continue to go north from there, there's 2 more houses that are on the edge by the river that almost no one ever hits because it's, again, out there where no one goes. So if you play this strategy right, there's going to be like 6 to 10 houses that you can hit that most people aren't even going to go near. So I would highly suggest trying to stick outside of risky. Risky kind of messed up this strategy for not seeing a single person. Back in the day, before they incorporated risky into the map, there was never anyone on this entire side of the map, which was kind of good but kind of bad, I guess. I understand why they wanted to put risky in, but there were so many farmhouses that were just scattered in this area that made it so easy to get to because no one ever went over there. So you would always get plenty of loot because you'd have like 8 houses to hit. And it's similar. I mean, it's fairly the same because most people that go to risky have no idea what's going on over there. They hit risky and then they just start moving northwest and go to the circle wherever it's at. But again, guys, you want to hit the Count Olaf house. You want to hit the barn, the shed, the 2 farmhouses, the ice cream truck, and if you want, you can move into Whaling. I know they've got a lot of small sheds and random chests laying around at the edge of Whaling Woods now. So if you want to head into there, maybe the circle's over there or you're in the circle, that's another pretty decent spot to go to. But yeah, and then you basically just want to move north or south, rather, I guess, whichever direction. I'm trying to think of the map. I'm not looking at the map right now. I guess it is south because we're in the northeast. I've been saying move north this whole time. But you want to move south. You want to go towards the circle. There's not really a safest way to do so. I think, like I said, I wouldn't recommend going through risky if you don't have to. But Whaling Woods is generally a good direction to go. There's not a lot of people that are just lurking in the woods, so that's a pretty safe route. And like I said at the beginning of the video, like I think that's one reason that we found this strategy so decent and working well, because you know when you go like to a place like Tilted or Retail or Pleasant or somewhere where there's a lot of people, you run the risk of losing teammates and losing health and losing ammo. And granted, it's fun to get in gunfights and I love fighting people as much as I can in the game, but you know, later on in the game, if you're playing against a team that doesn't have a lot of health, doesn't have a lot of ammo, and you know you got to loot all this stuff, you didn't have to fight anybody, you got full health, full shield, full ammo, there's a really good chance that you're going to win the gunfight. So it's nice to try to minimize those gunfights early on so that you give yourself a better opportunity and put yourself in a better position later on in the game. So but yeah, like I said, you want to move south, you want to move toward the circle. I would say, like, to be honest with you guys, I don't want to lie to you guys about the strategy. I would say that maybe like 1 out of 5 games you're going to be in the circle at Count Olaf's house. The circle rarely goes up there. And I would say like a good portion of the time you don't have to run that far. It's not like where you have to run across the entire map, but there have been times where we get stuck sprinting for hours and hours just to get to the circle, and we don't even get to loot a lot of the farmhouses because of that. So I think one little tip or piece of advice that I could give you when using this strategy is to try to move as quick as possible, especially if you land at the Count Olaf house, you land at the farmhouses and there's another bad guy there. Something that I screwed up on a lot when I was running this strategy is that I would like play really slow, right? Like, so if I landed at one of the farmhouses and another guy landed at one of the other ones, instead of like attacking him and trying to get the situation over with as quick as possible, I would play it really slow, and by the time I would end up winning the gunfight, the storm would already be moving in and I wouldn't have time to loot anything else around the area, and I would just get stuck running and be really vulnerable not having anything. So I would recommend trying to move quickly and really have an idea of what you're going to do, especially if you have an entire team, right? Like, because you can plan out exactly who's going to go where and where you're going to meet up. So move quickly. But yeah, use this strategy, guys. I'm telling you, it's amazing. I'm sure a lot of people use it. The last time I made a video on it, it got over 500,000 views. so a lot of people know about the strategy, but no one's really running it anymore now that they've got all these new crazy places in the game since last September. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys have any questions about the strategy or anything else to add, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Can we be friends?